We don't know the hour or the day. Time is such a gift, try and control your destiny. We don't know the hour or the day. Unity is strength, stand as one without delay. Cause no bad vibe me a John. Me no want no bad vibe me a John. I just peace the times all around, yeah. No bad vibe me a John. No bad vibe me a chant. Say me no want no bad vibe me a chant. I just peace good time all around, yeah. No bad vibe me a chant.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? AVM Superhero here. How you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live, where we get different people that had near-death experience to come onto a show and tell us about how their life is. Sometimes they are cancer survivors, people that had near-death experience probably by a car accident or even a stroke. And today we're going to have a stroke survivor come on the show and tell us about his story. This is pretty interesting and near and dear to me because he's a young black man. Well, I don't know if he's young, but he's like a black man, middle-aged black man. And he wants to tell us his story about what happened to him. And I can relate to it a lot because, you know, this is the same thing that happened to me. My life was turned upside down. And I would like to hear his perspective, what actually happened to him. So without any further ado, I have my friend, the myth, the legend, Chris, the Conqueror. What's up, my brother?
How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I can't complain whatsoever. Whenever I see another black man went through a stroke in the United States, a lot of things go through my mind. But I will ask you these questions after I hear about your story and what actually happened to you. So without any further ado, can you please explain to us what happened to you on that unfaithful day to have you on our show called Death Taught Us How to Live?
Absolutely. You know, you mentioned stroke and you mentioned black men, so I can talk about the day everything happened, but I think my journey started long before that because being a black man and, high blood pressure is hereditary. So that's something we have to deal with. But even as a kid, I was dealing with high blood pressure then, and I had the warnings. You got to do something about your blood pressure or you're going to have a stroke. So, you know, back then when you're young, you can get up, you can change your diet, you can go work out, you can go running and get your blood pressure down. And, you know, you do that so much, you get familiar with it and you get complacent. So it didn't catch up with me until I was about 55. I was working at the airport as a lead ramp agent. And that particular morning, I started feeling weird, but I've been working a lot of hours and I thought that it was just me being tired or possibly me overheating. But the first symptom, and it was pretty much the only symptom I had until later that day, but around 8 o'clock, I stumbled, like my balance was off. So I stopped and I said, wait a minute, did that just happen? Because it was so all of a sudden that I almost thought I imagined it. So I just kept working. And maybe about another hour or two later, it happened again. And I was like, that was weird. That was weird. That was my first sign. And that should have been, you know, the red flag I needed to get checked out. But, you know, we always write things off as it's nothing or maybe I'm just a little tired. And in that instance, I didn't even know if it actually happened. It was so fast and so not major of anything. So I kept working, and I finished my shift about 6 or 7 hours later. And I started feeling really dizzy. So I sat down, drank some water, and I just contributed it to me possibly overheating or just being tired. So I ignored the warning signs, and I drove myself home. And I remember specifically when I got out of the car, I dropped my cell phone. I had it in my right hand. And I dropped my phone and I picked it up and dropped it again. I looked at my phone on the ground and I picked it up, and I was determined to hold on to it. You know, not realize, well, I should have realized at that point something was wrong. But I kept fighting it, kept writing it off as I think I'm just tired, overheated, whatever. I was going to go take a shower and go to bed. So I made myself made it to the restroom. I was washing my face, trying to cool off. And that's when it really hit me. That's when I really started losing my balance and getting dizzy. And I remember making my way to the bedroom. And I think I was holding on to the wall. And when I let that wall go, I went down like a tree. I went down like a tree with no means of bracing myself, you know, because my right side had went out. And I remember my head hitting this huge footboard I had on the bed. I mean, I just hit it, and I'm surprised it didn't knock me out. Surprised it didn't knock me out. But somehow, through the grace of God, I remember getting to my phone. I remember calling 911. I remember crawling to the door to unlock the door so they can get in. And that was the beginning of my journey. That was the beginning of my journey. That's when everything changed.
Okay, Chris, that's an interesting story. So it seemed like you had what's called an ischemic stroke, that you had some issues with, I guess, your high blood pressure that actually caused your actual stroke. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, it was a hemorrhagic stroke.
It was a hemorrhagic stroke. So you did have a hemorrhagic stroke.
Yeah, when
What
that.
part of your brain did it affect?
Ooh, I was just at the neurologist yesterday, and I can give you the scientific term if I could remember it. But you know, we also suffer from brain fog too.
No, I get that. I get that.
But I'm affected on my right side, so it was in the left hemisphere.
So, were you right dominant before your stroke?
Yes. It took out
So
my.
how is that actually going for you? Like being a left-handed person now after a stroke?
It was challenging. It was challenging. I'm not going to say it was I wouldn't consider it a problem. I'll just say a challenge, because challenges, you know, are like hurdles. We can get over them.
No, I get that.
A problem you're stuck with.
So you said this happened to you when you was 55. How old are you now?
I'll be 8 on the 26th of this month.
Really? Your birthday's 2 days after mine.
Oh man, look at that.
Virgo. This is a Virgo show. This is even better. My producer's looking at me crazy. Yes. But Chris the Conqueror, let's dive into this a little bit more. You said you was working on, you know, at the airport as a ramp. So I'm assuming that you're a pretty big guy, as in muscular or am I right? Oh, before I get to that question, we got some comments on the screen that's going to come up. So let's read these comments and then we'll go back to your question. Comments come on the screen. We got Vanessa Johnson here, says God is a miracle worker. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Is that somebody you know over there?
Yes.
That's one of your peoples? Well, Vanessa, yes, he is. We agree with you on that.
Yep.
So let's get back to the question I was asking. It seemed like, you know, am I correct with the assumption saying that you are a big guy, that you're usually somebody that can actually go through walls and things like that?
That was me. And sometimes what you might consider a strength of being so strong might actually be a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you're so used to being able to basically do whatever you want. I can go in the gym and throw up 350 pounds like it was nothing. So it gives you this false sense of security, like you're healthy.
Yeah.
You might look healthy,
Yep.
but
Yep. But I'm
it's just,
going somewhere with that. But we have another comment, and my producer's looking at me crazy, saying, "Hey, get to the comment," because she played the song. So let's get to this next comment. The next comment is, "Happy early birthday to both of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much."
thank you.
All right. So the reason why I'm saying this, and I want you to dive into this, like since you had your stroke, and you talking about, it's a false sense of security being so strong. But people look at you now after the stroke. Do they still think that you're that big, strapping, strong guy? Does that come as a minus sign for you because they don't understand that you still have these difficulties as a stroke survivor?
Yes, it's I would say that people don't see your disability right away, right away. Unless I'm walking and someone notices that my gait is off, they'll never know that I have that disability. So yes, people still look at me and they might think I'm still strong, but I'm not. My right side is still pretty weak, But um, I think that answered your question. People just don't see the disability until you engage in walking or sometimes even speaking.
That's exactly what I mean, Chris. And as a black man in this country, I had this issue that happened to me um, after I had my stroke. I'm 6'3", on a good day, I'm 6'4", about 240 pounds. And I wanted to go out, I wanted to hang out. So I went to a bar. And, it was a little bit live bar down in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I went to the bar, after it was closing out, they usually have security there, like a police officer, off-duty police officer. So I'm walking back to my car, and my gate was completely off. And he said, "Come in, come in." And he was like harassing me, and he thought I was drunk.
Yep.
And I was like, "I'm not drunk." And luckily enough that I didn't have any problem with speech, that I could articulate that, I'm a stroke survivor. And this is around the time that, you have Eric Gardner, a lot of people getting killed by police officers. So it was a very troubling and scary time for me. Do you go through that actually same thing as a stroke survivor, as a black man in this country?
I never been approached as being drunk. However, I know some stroke survivors that go through that a lot. Um, from my experience, it's just simple things like somebody might see me limping and they're like, "Oh man, what's wrong with your knee?" And it'd be nice if it was just my knee, but it's my all of my lower extremities on the right side. So, but it crosses my mind every time I'm in public. Um, that comes up, and you just wonder if someone is going to look at you and think you're intoxicated.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey, my producer's killing me over here because she keeps on keeping playing that song. That means we got some other comments on the screen. So let's get to this comment and get back to our conversation. So here's our first comment or question that we have. We got one from Michael. "The invisible disabilities are rough." Um, Absolutely, bro. This is a terrible thing. What do you think about that?
I agree with him. I agree
Yeah,
with
yeah.
him. Even now that I'm back working part time, sometimes I don't think the management realize that I'm working with a disability. Even though when I fill out the application, I made that point clear.
And that's the point that I wanted to bring to. But we got some more comments, and we're gonna go back to that invisible disability thing. Let's do it with this next comment. Michael said again, "Yep, I agree. I walk with a cane when I am out." Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is one of another stroke survivor here. This is Chanel, uh, and she's saying, "Hi, sorry I missed this, but please talk about what your recovery has been like." Do you want to tackle that real quick?
Absolutely. And great question. Great question. My recovery, I'm such a positive person. Um, I push myself to the extreme. However, there's going to be times when I I think my biggest battle with my recovery is like maintaining my mental health. Um, it can lead you into depression, and that's the toughest battle. Depression is real, and you have to really have this huge amount of emotional intelligence and know how to bring yourself down when your anxiety gets high. Because as a stroke survivor, it's going to be roller coaster of emotions, and that's the biggest challenge. Uh,
So, Mr. Conqueror, I'm glad you said that because those anxieties. Like when we got out the hospital, at least when I got out the hospital, nobody really discussed that with me. The only thing is like, hey, we're gonna do this. You're gonna make yourself walk again. We're gonna give you this so you can use your hand to put your keys in the keyhole. But nobody talk about that depression state. Those anxieties as being a man. When you cannot be that big person to walk up and down the ramp of the airport to pull up the baggage or anything like that, pull up and you look at it like, man, I used to be able to do that last week. Nobody talks about how depressing and how you feel like your life is over and nobody knows how to go and get you back on your feet. How was that for you? And can you explain that a little bit further? We do still got some more comments, but I want you to dissect that as well.
yeah, again, good question. Um, and I just go right back to what I said. It's about emotional intelligence. You have to know how to regulate your emotions and bring yourself down. If a non-stroke survivor was, lying in bed and you can think to move your foot, but your foot doesn't move, that puts a lot of stress on you emotionally. And you got to be able to regulate that, regulate that. And if you can't regulate it, it's going to be tough. So,
So let me ask you, like I said, I still got these comments, but it seemed like this is a very interesting question that Chanel asked. So I want to really go into depth on this. Uh, what did you do exactly to help you with those anxieties and depressions and things like that whenever you saw that coming about? What did you do and what can you tell other people so they can use those tools as well?
yeah, every every stroke is different. Every person is different. So everybody's going to resolve that in a different way. Me, myself, I lean on God, and that's my faith. That's what gets me through everything. When I experienced my anxiety getting high, that's when I went into prayer. Prayer helped me, and I would, recommend that to anybody. But like I said, people are different. But if it's not prayer for you, that individual have to find out what works for the individual. I know it works for me, and it was prayer and faith.
So, and I'm getting people from other platforms that's talking about this as well. They're talking about faith as well. They're saying the same thing that you're saying. But I do agree with you is what you actually believe in, what your strength is, and fall into that instead of just fall into that negativity talk. We have some more comments. So let's get to the next comment so we can follow along with the show. What's the next comment? Chanel is here again. He says, how have you managed navigating the struggles of living with invisible disabilities? Sir?
That's a great question, and I'm not sure if I have. I'm not sure if I have the answer, but um, again, it goes back to my faith, and faith is believing in something not seen. So I have to believe that I'm going to recover, and that motivates me to continue to put in the work. I believe we have the ability to, or let me say, we are who we believe we are. If we believe we're going to heal, if we believe we're going to recover, then chances are, well, let me strike that comment. It'll give us a higher percentage. Our chances go up. We get a higher percentage of our chances of recovery.
Sorry about that. I got people on TikTok asking questions too, so I'm gonna bring that question in here so you guys can see it on the YouTube and also Facebook and Twitch. So we got somebody from TikTok land. His name is Tin Man. He says, "I never worried about what others were thinking." That's a great comment and a great understanding. You know, what everybody else is thinking about is none of your business. That's their opinion, their perspective. That has nothing to do with you. Do you follow that same type of script?
Yeah, I focus on what's in front of me. As simple as that. I focus on what's in front of me, and that's my health, and that's my recovery.
And I
No,
get
I'm sorry.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. I completely agree with you. We got some more comments on here, so let's bring them in. Our next comment, Luniverse says most focus on the miracles that you survive and overlook your needs to survive. What does that mean to you? Huh? I said thrive. Didn't I say thrive? See, my producer's kicking my butt right now, saying that I'm saying different words. So what do you think about that? It says most focus on the miracles that you survive and overlook your need to thrive. What does that mean to you, and does that resonate with you?
Okay. Let me make sure I got that. Most focus on the miracle. Well, just surviving the stroke is a miracle. That's yeah, definitely we have to focus on that. And I think the second half of that was instead of the need to survive or thrive. Now I'm mixing the words up. Thrive. No, me personally, and everybody's different. Every stroke is different. Every person is unique in their own right. Me personally, yes, I focus on thriving more so than I focus on the miracle of surviving, initially surviving the stroke.
Well, I know Luniverse, and I think because she's an Aries, she does things a little bit backwards and try to make us confused as Virgos. So what she was basically trying to say is that other people looking at us as, oh, you're a miracle, you survived,
Oh,
but it's not necessarily the survival part. It's like you have to move past that. You have to thrive and become something stronger. She said I tore it up. Yeah, whatever, Luna. But we got 10 men here on TikTok. He said all victories were celebrated, no matter how small. Absolutely. I used to do little happy dances whenever I do something, and I have journals and look back at my past to see how I came about. Do you do things like that?
absolutely. You have to celebrate your small victories. You can't walk a mile unless you take that first step. And that first step will turn into two steps turn into three, and before you know it, you're about to cross the finish line. So yes, I definitely celebrate small victories, and I would say also with stroke, recovery comes in such small increments that you barely see them. So anything that you can recognize, celebrate.
I think that is what people don't really understand is that they look back and say, well, I used to be able to drive a car. I used to be able to cook. I used to be able to walk. But they don't realize that, since their stroke until this day, a lot of things has changed. A lot of things got improved, but they don't realize things because they don't celebrate them. They don't write them down. They don't have video recording of them to actually see their progress. So they do have to keep on nourishing their mind and saying, hey, I have gotten better, and I have to be kinder to myself and not think that what I used to be before is what my comparison of how I'm supposed to be now. So do we have any more comments, my producer? Please put them on the screen. Here's another comment from Donna Dunkley. She said, what kind of disability do you have? I do hope others are living with you until you are fully recovered. The question is, do you have any deficits now, and are you by yourself, or do you have people helping you out?
Absolutely. Being that that my stroke was on the left side of my brain, I'm completely affected on the right side of my body from my shoulders all the way down to my feet. But that doesn't mean I don't have my independence. I function well on my own, which was extremely difficult in the early stages. But I have a disability, but I have a large percent of my independence. I do everything on my own.
Okay, sir. Do we have another question, comment? Yes, we do. My producer's looking at me crazy right now. Vanessa Johnson says, can you recall symptoms that you may have had but not notice until after your stroke? And prayers for your continued and complete healing. Your strength is amazing. Your test is huge, or is a huge testimony.
Well, let me thank you, and I appreciate the wonderful words there. Man, that you gotta excuse me. The symptoms. The only symptom I had was my balance, and it was off. Like I said, just sudden, and then I regained it. Like it didn't even happen. But there's an acronym, and I should know the acronym. It's Be Fast, and it gives you a list of symptoms to look for. One is balance. You want to check your eyes, your face, your arms. I think M. What was M? M was mouth, or no. See there, I should know this, but we also, like I said, we experience brain fog too. But it's an acronym, and it gives you a list of certain symptoms to look out for. And mine was just balance. Someone else may have balance issues. They may have vision issues. Their face might be drooping. They might have one, or they might have all of them. It's just unique to that particular person and the type of stroke.
Okay. I believe you answered Vanessa's question, but that Be Fast that you was talking about, you said you're not sure if you have it. You was pretty spot on. The B is for balance. The E is eyes, if your eye is drooping a little bit. F is the face is drooping. A is your arm gets weak. And S is your speech starts to get slurred. And T is time to call 911. Do we have any more comments coming in? It seems like we do. Jonathan Pope, what positive changes have this experience created in you, sir?
Oh my goodness. That's a great question. The biggest thing it's done for me, it's taught me a lesson in life that family is important. And you can get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and you can forget to spend time with your family, with friends, with loved ones in general. And the thing for me is that had God called me home that day, you know, you don't get that, you can't make that up. So spend time with your family, your friends, your loved ones. Spend time with them now while you're able to, because once it's over, it's over.
Hold on, Chris. You make it sound like it's very depressing what's going on right here. But I get what you're saying, brother. Like, people don't understand how precious life is, and one day you could be healthy and strong and doing everything, and the next day you have everything taken away from you. So I do agree with you, what you said, and that brings up something else. But there's so many comments getting in here, so I don't want to lose my train of thought. So let's bring back some more of these comments so we could actually get what our audience is asking for. So here's another question from Donna Dunkley. It says, put God in all you do, you will make it. With him in the picture, you are all winners.
I agree. I agree. I I believe I won the day I survived, and that was because of the grace of God.
I can dig it. I definitely understand that. We got Aretha here. She says, how long did it take for you to feel more like yourself?
Um, Great question. Again, it didn't it didn't take me long, and I guess I'm just I don't want to say different, but my mentality and my positive mind state. Um, I've always felt like myself, um, and I can give you an example. Just 2 days, 3 days after my stroke, when I was in ICU, still, I was laughing and joking. I was laughing and joking. I was cracking jokes on the doctors and cracking jokes on the nurses. So I don't think I ever left in that sense. But everybody's different. Everybody's different.
All right, Chris. Let's get back to the original thought, invisible disabilities. Let's talk about that more, because I was saying before, people thought I was drunk when I used to walk places, and that used to be very scary for me. Uh, I I live life in a certain type of way that I make sure that I'm very protected, and I'm trying to find something in my card back right here. Have you ever seen this before? The brain injury identification card.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
So this particular card right here, you could get it if you go to brainlaw.com, and it basically has everything for a stroke survivor or brain injury survivor to explain to people what's going on with them. It says that I might not be able to concentrate properly. I might not be able to articulate words properly. I might slur my speech. Um, Please take time with me. So whenever I go on an airplane, or if I get pulled over by a police officer, I give them this. I give them this card and my license, so they understand who they're dealing with. So this is a free card. If you go to brainlaw.com, brainlaw.com, and tell them that you want this particular card, and they'll send it to you for free anywhere in the United States. So I highly recommend this for everybody out there, especially those that have invisible disabilities with brain or head trauma. Brainlaw.com.
Yeah.
So I'm very mindful of this, Chris, because as our plight as a black man in this country, and if people don't understand who we are, like you said, a lot of times people, I think Luna was saying this earlier, that people got to stop looking at us as a miracle that we survive, but we're thriving. There's a lot that we have to go through to thrive in that particular way, and we tried to fake it so people could understand that, hey, we part of society, we're good, but we're really not. We fake it to make it. But we need society to understand our invisible disabilities is hurting us so much that you need to take time with us and stop looking at us as the old person. You said you don't have that issue with people, that they don't take you for granted, or do you actually have that type of issue?
Um, if I do, it's so minute. Um, Again, it just stems from my positive attitude and the way I approach things. Like I said earlier, sometimes I feel like my boss forgets I have a disability. But I never ran into, like, say, a brick wall with it at all.
Okay. I guess I'm barking up the wrong tree because it happened to me all the time. People just look at me a certain way, and it's weird because my deficits is like you said. If my gait, if I'm having a bad day, then my gait gets really bad, and people could tell something's wrong with me. But besides that, they can't. I go to the gym, I could work out. I'm a big guy, I could do it. But the problem is, I have pins and needle sensation in my left arm, and my both of my legs feels like pins and needles. It hurts all the time. I'm always in pain. I have vertigo. I have issues with my balance, and it's hard for me to try to have multiple conversations. So if we having a conversation, start yelling at me, I have problems, and people look at me like, "You're a big guy. You should be able to handle this." I'm like, "Yeah, I can't handle it, and I don't want to handle it." And that's the problem that I run into. So it seems like you don't really have that problem. You have people that really deal with you in a kind and tender way. Is that correct?
Um, you and I spoke about that a while back. Um, Again, it's all about regulating your emotions. Just learning to recognize when you're getting or somebody's getting under your skin or aggravating you, how to bring yourself back down. And I think I have, or it's been said that I have thick skin and I never get stressed out, which I do at times. But in those moments where I do feel that stress coming on, I find a way to bring myself back down. So I haven't had that experience.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Like I said, fair enough. Because, like I said, I went through it all the time. Chris, so let's get into this. I know that you had your stroke in your mid 50s, and you pretty much what you said. You didn't really, I wouldn't say ignore, but you didn't really act on it pretty fast. Can you explain to people out there that if they have these same type of symptoms, they should act really fast? Because I know a lot of men are like, okay, I got a headache, or I feel a little bit tired, I feel a little bit woozy. Let me just walk it off, and everything will be fine. What do you say about that? Do you have any suggestions if anybody's having those type of symptoms?
Absolutely. When we talked about that acronym, that last one in Be Fast, that T stands for time. And that means time is critical. The faster you can get yourself help, the better your chances are. Um, so once you
Listen to my
uh,
sound.
feel yourself, if you notice anything, don't take it for granted. And I guess that's the best way to say it. If your balance is off, or if you notice yourself slurring your speech, maybe some people might not even notice that they're slurring, but if someone says, "Hey, you're talking funny," or "Your eyes look funny," take that T into consideration. That's time, and get emergency medical treatment right away. That's the best advice I.
And I completely agree with you, Chris. And I think that especially us black men, we got to stop taking it for granted and say, I don't need to go to the doctor. It will just wear off. I'm strong enough and I could just move on. That is not the case. You're not weak because you go to the doctor. You have to go check your body out. There's a lot of things in your body that you have no understanding about. Just because you think you're strong doesn't mean that you are strong. Because you could go to the gym 5 days a week and lift 340 pounds doesn't mean that something internally is not happening to you. Please go to the doctor if something's wrong. And there's more things than just that be fast. You could have a excruciating headache. You could be nauseous. You could just do things that doesn't make sense and like, okay, why is my brain acting this way? There's something's going on that's not normal. You should check it out. We have a comment So I want to bring that comment in. So let's bring this comment in and answer it if it's a question. Um, Naila, I believe, Nailaja. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name completely wrong, but please forgive me. Mental strength has to be important during recovery because this man was physical, the strongest man I know, and to wear recovery so well must be the key factor. I guess it's someone that you know, huh, sir?
Absolutely. And again, I appreciate that compliment. Yes, I appreciate the compliment. And with that being, like we said earlier, that physical strength and just being in good shape can give you that false sense of security, and we have to be aware of that also.
So let me ask you something about this. You know, as a man, as a stroke survivor, and you was talking about this earlier, and I think this is how this last comment came into fruition as well. You know, I learned when I had my stroke that I was a complete liar. I learned that I was really weak. I learned that I was living a lie in my life because I was spiritually and mentally dead. Once I had my stroke and I had time to really just sit in my body and my mind and my spirit, I learned that I could do things much more than my body could ever do. So I learned that I was much stronger than I was. Did you go through that metamorphosis as well?
Um, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because the one thing I did, as far as my recovery, I decided to change my diet, and I all of a sudden I got down to my high school weight. I had my stroke around 230, maybe 30,
Listen to me
and before you know,
now.
I got down to 175, which I thought I would never ever be that light in my life. Um, and also, I found strength in my ability to fast. If I decided I wanted to fast, whether it was for to build my spiritual strength or to just rid my body of the things that we don't need, I was able to do that. And again, those are things I thought I would never be able to do in a million years.
So, Chris, it seemed like we came full circle because that's what we was talking about this whole interview is basically understanding who you are and not taking life for granted because any day things could change and you could have a totally different life. So being mentally strong and spiritually strong is way more important than your physical strength. And we recommend for the people that didn't go to the stroke because we don't want you to have a stroke. I don't recommend this for anybody, but take it from us. You're taking life for granted if you're not mentally and spiritually strong. Do the things that you're supposed to do. Be with the people that you're supposed to be. Don't take them for granted. Don't just say, okay, I'm going to work, 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 and think that you're going to have a retirement. That's not guaranteed. You know, take time to be with your loved ones. Show them that you love them. We have one more question or comment, and then it's time for the hot seat questions. We got two more. And after that, seat questions, I got to choke up a little bit. Sorry about that, Chris. Question number one or comment number one. Can you bring that to the screen? Here's our first comment. Vanessa Johnson, it says, thank to both of you for being so courageous and sharing your experiences. This information is vitally important. God bless you both. Thank you, Vanessa. And Aretha is saying, post stroke 6 to 8 months, were you scared to be alone or have anxiety that it would happen again? If so, what did you do to help that? I'll let you answer that, sir.
I think my biggest anxiety was just going home from rehab. Um, I knew what caused my stroke, and that was my blood pressure. So I took it easy. maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I just really took it easy. I didn't push myself. But as the more it went on, the more comfortable I got with, working out really hard. And I was able to push myself without the fear of having another stroke. But with that, I advocate for myself when it comes to my primary physician. I advocate with myself when it comes to all my specialists. Um, it's like a collective thing we have to do all together. I just don't take what they tell me as etched in stone. I tell them what I think. I tell them what my goals are, and that's how we have that balance. And that was what helped me uh, not have that fear of having another stroke, because I was on top of the things I needed to be on top of.
Chris, that is absolutely spot on. And I think that is the most important thing as a stroke survivor. You have to be your own advocate because nobody's inside your body. You know what your body is doing. You know how you feel. You know what is going on with it. And I really appreciate you actually saying that. But at this time, we need to shift gears from answering questions and doing things of that nature from the audience. It's time for you to get on the hot seat. So we're going to ask you about 4 questions. And these hot seat questions are for you to answer to give to our audience. And after you finish the question, say, AVM Superhero, I'm ready for my next question.
Got it.
After the hot seat questions, sir, you will close out the show. Anything that you want to tell the audience, anything that you feel comfortable saying, feel free at that particular time to do it. So, are you ready for your hot seat questions, sir?
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna get my glasses on so I can read the questions. Ah, I should have had them on. I know Luna's probably saying that to me. Why didn't you have your glasses on when you read my question? All right, are you ready?
yes, sir.
Question number one. Question number one, here it is. What was the change from depression to living your life?
Um, I I was diagnosed with mild depression, so I never did let myself fall off too deep into depression. But it was the fact that through my faith, I looked at it as God pointing me in the direction in which He wants me to go. So I believed it was my purpose to have to go through this to be able to help others. And AVM Superhero, I'm ready for my next question.
And here it goes, sir. I'm glad you asked. Here's question number two. Do you fear death?
No, it's just as simple as that. But it doesn't mean that I want to face it any sooner than I have to. But I'm not afraid of death. I know we're all going to have to make that journey at some time. We want to live as long as we can. That's why we have to. Yeah, we have to engage in a healthy lifestyle. And AVM Superhero, I'm ready for my next question.
I asked that question because I'm very curious about how other near death survivors think about dying. Before I was very scared of it, but after I had my AVM rupture, I was like, man, it's okay. It's all
Yeah,
right. I don't want to die, but it's okay if I do.
yeah.
Okay, question number 3. Here we go. What do you wish you did differently in your recovery?
That's a great question. And looking back, I the one thing I would have did differently is really push my lower extremities earlier in my recovery. I got caught up working, my shoulder, my arm, my hands, and um, yes, walking and stretching my legs and um, doing toe taps and all that stuff. That was part of my treatment plan. But intensity and repetition is the key. I would be more intense on my the workout with my lower extremities. And AVM superhero. I'm ready for the next question.
Sir, here's your fourth and final question. Are you ready for it?
I
You
feel
already
like
said you were. You said you were already, so let's go with it. What did the threat of death teach you?
um, again, it just taught me how fragile life is and how quick things can change in a fraction of a second. Um, it taught me to be more in tune with what my purpose is in life. You know, I don't want to exist just to exist. So through that, I learned my purpose, and I think my purpose was being able to help other people avoid stroke and to help people heal from stroke and help people deal with all of the intangibles that come along with stroke. That's my purpose. And if it wasn't for that stroke, I don't think I would be here in such a complete manner as I am now.
You didn't say the AVM superhero. I'm ready for my next question. But there's no more questions left. That was the end of
Fine.
it. That's why I got you. You got me. So hey, Chris, I thank you so much for being on the show. And guys, next week we're gonna have Asia. She's gonna be on our show. She'll be our guest. But for everybody else, I am gone, and I really appreciate you. And Chris, I want you to take over the show and close out. And it seemed like my producer wanted to make sure Luniverse got her last comment in. I don't know why she did that, but hey, that's what she is. But Chris, the show is yours. Close us out, sir.
I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. Um, I just want to say to everybody out there, thanks for listening, and I want to remind everybody how imperative it is to stay on top of your health, and especially in the Black community where our diet, our it's genetic, how we just almost born with high blood pressure. Don't take that for granted. Stay on top of it. If you have high blood pressure, work with your primary to get that under control, because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. And again, I hope through my story that I can inspire and motivate others to um, evade stroke, and the ones who were less fortunate and had a stroke and survived. I just want to be encouraging and inspiring, and let you know that you can you can recover. You can recover, and sometimes recovery just don't mean walk again or run again. Recovery to me means finding that place that makes you happy to be alive. And I appreciate it, and I thank everybody for being here. And AVM superhero, I thank you for having me.